Good evening, friends and family of the Kajiado We Want group. We want to welcome each and everyone to a very hot topic in regards to community policing and security. Before we start, I want to introduce my name. My name is Evelyn Masharia. I'm a resident of Kajiado North. I live in Goroi. And as we proceed, I want us first to say a word to pray before the meeting can start. Dear Heavenly Father, for the gift of life, Father, send your Holy Spirit upon us all and all those who are listening to this great talk. Give us a deeper understanding of your love and prepare our hearts for the message that the guest speaker is going to share with us today. When we leave this place, continue guiding us all in what we do and teach us on how to apply what is going to teach us. We pray this, believing in the almighty name. Amen.
Amen.
Again, I want to welcome you all. Today's topic is about the role of community policing. What is our role in community policing and security? There's a lot of insecurity going on, and I think the topic is coming at a timely. It's coming at the right time, and we believe you're going to learn a lot from one of our experts, whom I'm going to introduce later. But before we can continue with the meeting, I would like to introduce the chairman of the Kajiado We Want group, Mr. David Ndome, to tell us what it's all about. Karibu sana, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And good evening, everyone. As you've heard, my name is David Ndome, a resident of Kajiado County. And I'm glad that we are having you this evening. First is to introduce the Kajiado County, or the Kajiado We Want community-based organization. This is a CBO that has been formed out of a realization that we need as communities to work closely with government and non-government organizations, as well as mobilizing ourselves in order to be the change that we want, to be able to see the change that we want. So the CBO is not very old. It was mooted in September, so you can see hardly 3 months. And we are doing well. We came up with 8 areas of focus. And these 8 areas of focus are infrastructure, water and sanitation, advocacy for the vulnerable groups, security and community policing, environment, job creation, health, and education. So those are the 8 areas, or the 8 problem areas we think as a community we can work with the different actors and make a change. And we are doing this through 3 ways. One is creating awareness, like we are going to do today. The second bit is lobbying government in order to be able to achieve those services. And lobbying is at various levels, from discussion, public participation, all the way to petitioning and picketing at some point, if that calls for it. And the other third way of this group, how we are going to perform, is through partnership. Being a CBO, we can partner with NGOs and even other individuals to achieve anything out of our 8 areas. So tonight, we are focusing on security and especially the role of communities in community policing. Thank you very much, and back to you, Evelyn.
Okay, I want to introduce the speaker for the day. He's called Dr. Douglas Lucas Kavoi. He holds a PhD degree in ethics and African philosophy from the University of Nairobi. is distinguished by his passion for research, focusing on good governance. He's attended a number of invited international conferences where he has presented papers and given speeches. He's a principal policy analyst with the Kenya Institute for Public Policy and Research Analysis, that is KIPRA, Governance Department. Some of his publications are Boda Bodas are critical to Kenyan transport system. The other one is Kenya has tried to reform its police force, but has left gaps for abuse. The other paper he's written is Why Violence is a Hallmark of Kenyan Policing and What Needs to Change at. And the other paper is Community Policing in Kenya. What is the way forward? I want to welcome Dr. Kavoi to tell us more about community policing. What is my role, and all about security. Karibu sana, Dr. Kavoi, to the meeting.
Thank you very much, Evelyn, and the chair of this forum. I appreciate your invitation. Now, basically, we are living in very, very critical time where marauding gangs of young men are moving around and causing havoc. These are individuals who have lost their lives. KNH has raised that alarm, Kenyatta National Hospital, that the number of stabbings have increased. So basically, we are asking ourselves, what is our role in the community? And to introduce this, I just want to say community policing basically is about a partnership between policing agencies, their officers, and the people they serve. For example, this one we are talking about the Kajiado community, the Ngoroi area. I know Ngoroi very well. So what is the role of these individuals in as far as ensuring that security is within their neighborhood? So these people, the ones who stay, for example, in Ngoroi, they are supposed to work with policing agencies and also their officers to ensure that their community is safe. Then also the National Police Service itself has defined community policing as an approach to policing which recognizes the independence and shared responsibility of the police and the community in ensuring that the environment they live in is safe and secure for everyone, not for some. Because in this country, our leaders are the ones who are secure, because you find one leader has 50 police officers. We need to change that narrative and ensure that there is safety for everyone. Then we ask ourselves, what is your role as a community or as a member of that society or as a member of that village in as far as community policing is concerned? The first one is you are supposed to volunteer information to the National Police Service, because they are the only ones who will do the investigation and then they'll prosecute. Volunteer information. And there are some towns, there are some communities that have got those police booths where people report incidents of security or insecurity within the area. This is because the information we possess remains a very critical tool in ensuring that we are safe. There are some Kenyans who will see an incident happening, but they just keep quiet. They don't volunteer the information, but they need to volunteer that information. Then you and I also ought to ensure that we are working closely with police through community policing forums. And community policing forums here basically means that when police officers are having meetings with us, we need to attend those meetings. When the local government officers, like the chief, like the assistant chief or sub chief, when they are meeting the community, how many of us attend those meetings? I also forgot to ask, in this forum that we are in here, who knows the nearest office of their chief? Because we think that security is only when you are talking to a police officer. But those chiefs have a lot of information on security. They have a critical role to play. Then we're also saying that you are also have a role to help police by offering any kind of support. We all know the challenges that are facing our national police service. For example, transport. You find that one police station has got one vehicle. There are some police posts that don't have transport vehicles. So if you have extra vehicles, because I know you have got blessed Kenyans who have more than one vehicle, if you have one vehicle, please help that police post with a vehicle. Even if it is within a week, one person volunteers. The other week, another person volunteers. Please help them to move around and ensure that our community is safe. If you have an opportunity to buy a cell phone or equip a police post with Wi-Fi, so that when you are in your house, you can report or chat with a police officer because they have Wi-Fi in their police post or station, then please do that. Then also, we are talking about encouraging character conduct between neighbors, meeting. Unfortunately, in these urban areas in Nairobi here, we have neighbors and we don't know each other because either we have built large walls or there are some of us, when we come, we get into the vehicle and then we run into our flat. Even our neighbors don't know us. Because I was talking of an incident where people are staying with their own relatives and they don't know that they stay on the same block. So we need to know and interact with each other so that if there's a challenge, we get to know what is going on and how we can address that challenge. Also, we are saying that whenever there is a crime, please offer victims of crime support, like counseling, showing them that you are with them. There are some counselors here. We have people who are counselors here. We have got some of us who are experts in security. We have got doctors. We have got nurses. We have got clinical officers. We have got also some Kenyans who have firearms, legal firearms. So if, for example, your neighbor comes under attack and then you just stay in your house because you only put on your lights, you have a firearm that you are licensed to protect the community, but you stay in your house. Are you helping this community? The reason why I'm saying that is because we cannot have a police officer in every homestead or in every street or in every gate protecting us. It's not possible. But we can have a role and make the life of police officers safe, easy, by ensuring that our communities are safe. Help a neighbor who is under attack. Don't just put on your lights and then you stay in your house. And please don't attract those fellows because some of them are very dangerous characters. Then also the issue of social media. You as a member of the community. I don't know if this CBO has a social media like WhatsApp, a Facebook page where you can interact with your members. If people have an issue, they post and then they say, you discuss, how do you ensure that we are safe? I don't know if this community has now a hotline that they can use to reach police officers. So those are the issues that we are saying. Do you have a way of reaching police officers when there is an issue? Because as I've said, you cannot have police officers in every gate, in every street. Now, most of us remember the issue of the teaching chief in Nakuru County, and God rest his soul in peace because he rested some years ago. And he came into the limelight because he had used social media to keep his community safe. Then the issue of you recognizing your role in securing the community, you must stay alert. The reason why you should never entertain this idea of clubs and bars where you cannot go for 10 meters without finding a drunkard. You must stay alert. If you drink and you are here, I'm not castigating you. I'm just saying, please be alert. Know what is going on. Some of us have neighbors, and you know that every Saturday, this gentleman or lady comes in late. But suppose you see lights in that compound at 8 p.m. Do you bother to call them and find out if they are okay? There is you know that your neighbor doesn't play loud music, and then you hear loud music coming from that compound or that flat. Will you go call that gentleman or lady and find out what is going on? That's the issue of staying alert and knowing what is happening. And then there's the other issue of mob injustice and lawlessness. That is not the role of community policing. Mob injustice. You get a suspect, you lynch them. Maybe they were just walking. Or you lynch this fellow and then he will die with the information that would have helped the community safer because they don't operate alone. Then the issue of lawlessness. When there is a security incident or insecurity incidents, we demonstrate, we ban police stations, we ban police posts, we injure police officers, we destroy property because we are saying these people, they are making it. No, that's not community policing. We want to keep our communities safe by demonstrating and banning vehicles on the road. Community policing. The point here is never take the law into your own hands. We have got police officers. Call them. They'll come. Report to them. They'll investigate. But don't take the law into your own hands like I've been seeing of late Kenyans banning or lynching suspects who have been involved in crime. Because you make the work of the police even much more harder because the fellow is dead. How will the police get the information they need to put an end to the criminal syndicate that he had been working with? Then lastly, but not least, what community policing is not? Vigilantism, whereby you form vigilantes to patrol the community. You walk into some areas, you see young men or people with spears, machetes, clubs, and all manner of crude weapons. That is very dangerous. That is not community policing. We are saying that such vigilante groups later become criminal gangs and they start terrorizing us in our communities. Then also community policing is not about coercion or extortion. Don't compel or force people to join the community policing forums under duress, that when you are attacked, will not come out to help you, or tell them, you must pay 1,000 shillings for security. And there's no security. Basically, that's extortion. That there are some young men who normally patrol at night in this estate, so they need to be paid. You are actually employing them. And as we have seen, community policing is not the issue of providing employment. If you want to look for a private security company, please look for a private security company, but don't employ young men who are not accountable to anyone. You are only paying them 1,000 shillings. And then what happens? They know our communities, they know what time Evelyn comes in and what time she leaves her compound. So they are the ones who will plan attacks on you. Now, community policing also does not mean that we replace existing governance structures. Because I asked us here, how many of us know the office of our chief? Or we only look for the chief when we need to register for ID? You start asking, where is the office of the chief in this estate? This chief is never in the office. Or when you want a burial permit, that's when you start looking for them. And you never know where, you don't even know what their names are. This chief, when you go to his or her office, you are wondering, he's wondering, are you really a member of his community? Or you say, no, I'm the one who stays in gate 7. But the chief has never seen you. Just say hi to them. Say hi to the policemen. Community policing doesn't mean we replace the work of chiefs or even elders. Then also spy networks. That's not community policing, whereby you start saying, Ndome is walking around. I have seen strange people entering into his compound. So you tiptoe and start beeping into Ndome's compound to see what those people are doing in his compound, and yet they are with him. You start spying, or even you put some cameras in Evelyn's compound to see what normally goes on there, because there are people who stay there, you don't know them. Please, if you've seen strangers entering Evelyn's compound, just ask her what is going on. I've seen people here who I rarely see in your compound, but don't start spying on your neighbor, because it might destroy the relationship that you may be having with your neighbor. Spy networks, no. If it's the issue of spying, the government has got spies, and that's their work, but not you spying on your neighbor or your relative. Then also the issue of a parallel security system, what I just talked about, vigilantes, militias, whereby they are also patrolling like police officers. It's only police officers who are allowed to patrol. And those of us who stay in gated communities, when a police vehicle comes, you open the gate for them, even if they're just walking around. They are patrolling, but not having young men with clubs to move around patrolling. Then also, community policing is not political activism, whereby you come up and say, XYZ is not doing his work, so we want to vote him out in the next election. MCA is not doing this. Those ones can be done in public participation forums, addressing other issues, but not within community policing. The reason why I'm saying that is we should never politicize security of our communities. The moment we start politicizing security of our communities, then know that we are missing the point and we are on a very, very dangerous trajectory. We should never invite politicians to address our community policing forums unless they are neighbors we stay with them. Then they'll be participating as members of that community, not as politicians. Then also, as I've said earlier, employment. Community policing forums should not be used to provide employment to young men. These young men who smoke marijuana in the streets, who sit at the shopping center, you say, no, let's give them employment. That's not community policing, because they'll turn out to be your worst nightmare. They start torturing you, they start harassing the community. So that's not the role of community policing. If they want employment, as I've said, please look for private security companies. They are known. But don't just bring in those young men, because you don't even know their background. You just say, oh, he's called Masai. Oh, he's called Waingo. Oh, he's called Vaite. And when he commits a crime, do you know where you'll get him? Then lastly, because my time has run out, lastly is the issue that before you even think of community policing, ask yourself, what security challenges are you facing in the community? What security challenges are you facing in the community? Don't just run into community policing because it is a term that is being used. Identify your security challenges and then see how to confront them. And then also involve the police in those community policing forums. Involve those police officers. When you have a wedding or a show in that community, please invite those police officers. They'll come. They'll not refuse. You see, you are building a partnership. And when you have an issue, you call that officer, he will pick your call. So you can imagine if you call me for the first time and I have never met you, then you are telling me, we have seen this and this, how are you going to help us? I've started wondering, what are you saying? So identify your security challenges, involve police officers, bring them on board. When you have private security companies, because some of us think that when you have private security companies, you are safe. My brother and sister, you are not safe. Having a private security officer from these companies doesn't mean that you are safe. You need to know your neighbor, because there are challenges within those private security companies that I'll not discuss here in another forum, because some of them don't even know who they are employing, because the private security regulatory authority is working on that modality to ensure that the individual security in private security companies are good. But community policing ultimately is the only way that will help secure our communities. And that means we need to know each other and find out what we do, because you might be having a doctor in your estate, in your neighborhood, and you don't know. You faint, you need first aid, and there's a doctor next door, and you have no idea that this gentleman is a doctor. You are staying next to a police officer, and you don't know who this police officer is. You are staying next to an engineer, you don't know. You are staying next to a teacher, you don't know. You are staying next to a businessman, you don't know. You are staying next to a driver, you have a vehicle and you are unwell. Who will take you to hospital in your vehicle? You cannot drive yourself to hospital. So let's get to know who we are, because community policing goes beyond security. You are unwell, you don't know, you cannot drive your vehicle to current hospital. You have a neighbor who can drive. Get to know them. Thank you very much.
Wow.
You're muted. You're muted.
I like the way you've made community policing so simple. I think for me, my head about community policing was something different. And what I've learned is we are supposed to give information in case you see something is not going on. And then we need to be friends with the chief and the police. It's not last minute kutafuta polisi. Thank you so much. And I want to open the floor to questions. But before, maybe I can start with the first question. We have so many idle youths in the communities. Like where I live, there's so many youths who are just idle, who are always looking when you're going in and out. And people suspect maybe they are the ones who are collaborating with, break-ins. But at times, maybe they're just looking for jobs. How can we work hand in hand so that we remove that fear instead of them being idle. Because I think if you go in every lane, every estate, you'll find them. Because I thought those would be the best for community policing if they could be used. That's my question.
Okay, thank you, Evelyn. The issue of idleness amongst youth. Number one, we talk about parenting. You are a parent and you don't know where your son or daughter is. It's almost 8 p.m. And right now you are a parent in your house and you have no idea where your son or daughter is or where your nephew is. Because some of those young men, is not that they are idle. It's because we as parents, we have failed in our responsibility because they need guidance. Your daughter or your son had left the house at 7 in the morning. You've gone to work in Nairobi. You've come back and he has not come back home. Where is he? Because unemployment is an issue that is affecting everyone. We also can engage them constructively. After parenting, how do we engage them constructively? This is the issue that now the community now can see. How do they engage these young men constructively? Because it's a collective responsibility. But first of all, as a parent, get to know where your children are. Where do they spend their time? What do they do? Because some of them are taking drugs and we don't know. Because the issue of drug menace is also a security challenge. So if your son left the house in the morning at 7 or daughter and it's now 8 p.m. and you don't know where he is, then you are also part of the problem. So parents must play their role very well to ensure that they know where these young men are. Now, these idle youths who normally hang around the estate, we need to find out where they come from because some of them may not even be coming from the community there. They may be coming from somewhere else so they can come and commit crimes there, then they run away. Get to know where they are coming from. Others are there spying on you. They want to see what time you come in and what time you leave in the morning. So they may be spying on you because they don't just commit a crime out of the blue. They'll observe you for a while. So if there are young men who are just hanging around and you don't know who they are, please get to know what they are doing and where they come from. And that one you can involve the police because police have a right to stop you. But now me as a civilian, I have no right to stop Evelyn walking in the streets. But a police officer will stop you and find out who you are and where you are going or if there's any issue. So parenting is key towards ensuring that they fear that those young men are not there. Then also as a community, you can have a gym. These young men are very energetic. Have a gym where they can pass time, train, even you where you train. Engage them in sports. And they will not see the idleness there. Because if they are tired, they'll be in their houses and not in the streets smoking marijuana or other things that they should not be engaging in. So it's a collective responsibility. Because I like our African society where those rural communities where everybody knows everyone, because that's where community policing works well. And the Kajiado here is rural, so I don't see why, as a neighbor, you should not know where your neighbor's son or daughter is. Because where I was born and raised in Kakamega, if I am seen misbehaving, because when I go home, they say that is so and so's child. So if I'm seen misbehaving somewhere, they'll tell my father that we saw your son misbehaving in Koroi. Then my father will ask me, why were you misbehaving in Koroi? You were seen doing 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is something that parents and also as a community we need to address. And seeing young men together should not cause fear in you unless you've seen them taking drugs or you've seen them mugging someone. They could just be out having fun, talking, playing pool, and not necessarily engaging in crime. But if they are taking drugs, then that is a point of concern because the youths who engage in criminal activities, they are normally high on some substances. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, there was a bit of noise when you're just about to finish the sentence. Okay, there's a question from one of from the audience. I'm a CP member, I think community policy member in my sub-location. Unfortunately, the role of the police has not yet come out clearly. What is your advice?
Yes, thank you very much, our member who has asked that question. The role of the police is stipulated in the constitution, but when you are forming those community policing groups, as I said, engage those police officers. Now, unfortunately, in this country, community policing is not budgeted for. So we need to have, that's why I said the community itself can have a forum where they interact with police officers. Like I've said, when there's a wedding, when there's a ratio payment, when there is even when a police officer is sick, how many of us dare to visit a police officer who was injured in the course of his duty? Visit them and make friends. And that's how now you start fostering the partnership between police officers and the community. As I said, we have got some of us who are blessed with resources. How can we install cameras in the street so that police officers can engage, can see what is happening? Can we say have Wi-Fi in a police station so that police officers are on Facebook, are on Twitter, they are on Instagram, they are on WhatsApp? If we can install Wi-Fi, and I asked a question. For example, this CBO that we are in, that we are gathered here, courtesy of them. Do we have a Facebook page? Do we have a Twitter account? Do we have an Instagram account? I'll give you an example where I used to stay somewhere in the neighborhoods of Nairobi, just here in Kiambu County. And then there was I didn't know there was a WhatsApp group for the estate where I stayed. And then one day there was a funeral in the neighborhood. Then they were asking people. So they asked me, you have not given us your contribution. So I asked them, which contribution? Then the lady asked me, she let the cat out. That you mean you are not in the WhatsApp group? So I realized that WhatsApp group was for a particular community and not for everyone. So when we are doing this community policing, make sure that everybody is involved. Because now the moment you start now isolating, saying it's only for community X, we are creating problems. So because what if this gentleman or lady you are leaving out has got ties or knows some police officer in the station? Because we know them. Some of us here, don't be surprised that Evelyn knows a police officer in Kajiado police station. So that's how we build those networks. So if you share your issue with Evelyn will tell you, no, go to Kajiado police station and speak to officer XYZ. Explain to them, they will help you. So I have never seen a police officer, you go and report an issue, then they chase you away. I don't think that's what normally happens. So it's us who fear those police officers. We should not fear them, because even them, they are waiting. You have seen something, then you keep quiet. How will this police officer know? Surely. When you say buy some mineral water, just a packet of mineral water, 24 bottles, then you take to them, because they don't have clean drinking water in some of those facilities. That's how we start building these relationships. And then they start coming close to us. So there is no way you'll have community policing if police officers have been left out. As I said, from the word go, police officers must be in those community forums. Like when you are meeting, let's say, even if you are planning a wedding of one of your members, invite the OCS and his officers. If the OCS doesn't come, he'll send his officers. They will come. And when they are there, they learn a lot about the community. Help them. If you hear that a police officer is unwell, as I said, visit him. Tell him, yeah, we wish you well. We know you have been having malaria. We wish you well. Build those relationships. Because a police officer is the one who will arrest someone, is the one who will investigate, is the one who will prosecute. But he requires the support of the members in terms of you are the one who will give evidence that I saw XYZ, I saw it happening. Because personally, I come from the old school of thought that says there is nothing that happens on this earth, nobody will hear about it. There is nothing that goes unseen. There is nothing that goes unheard. Somebody will hear something, somebody will see something. And that's why community policing is very, very critical.
Sorry, Evelyn, you are muted. Can you start again?
Okay. I have some comments from speakers. One of them is, from the guests. One is saying, great speaker and very enlightening information. I think we've carried a lot, and we're going to call you again for part 2 and part 3. And then there's another one, very informative. It's interesting how the speaker advises us not to employ idle youth in our community, because they will end up being a challenge to deal with. I think that one you've captured well. And then there's a question, which is the best way to handle a police officer who's engaged in crime? Who do we report to? a police is involved in a crime. Now, whom do I report? Whom do you report that? Because that's the last place you're supposed to go and report.
Number one, the first thing, get the evidence. Because don't say Officer XYZ is engaging in crime and you have no evidence. Get the evidence. Then go to the senior officer, the OCS, or if it's a police station. And if it's a police post, go to the officer commanding that police post. They will not refuse to listen to you unless they are also party to that crime. My experience with police officers is that there is no senior police officer who will want his or her junior to taint the name of the station or the name of the police post or the name of the gentleman or lady who is in charge of that facility. Because these senior officers don't want negative publicity. This I have seen. The moment you report that incident to the officer who supervises that area, I can tell you for free, action will be taken. And if they don't take action, we have got the Independent Police Oversight Authority. You can even report it on anonymously online on their website. We have got the Internal Affairs Unit of the police. They have an email. They have a social media account. You can tag them and inform them. You can tag the Inspector General of Police. They'll take action. You can track the Director of Criminal Investigations, DCI, even if it's here in Nairobi, because I have done that and they'll take action. So if you keep quiet and you're seeing a police officer who is engaging in crime, my Bible tells me that there is no passive sinner. There is no spectator in sinning. There is no spectator in crime. There is no passive criminal. You keep quiet when a crime is happening, you are equally guilty. So take action, report to those relevant agencies. Now, if you fear, as I've said, if you are afraid of going to a police station, and we know each other, because when you meet Evelyn, you don't know who else she knows. Evelyn could be having the number of the Inspector General of Police. Maybe they are related. It's not a crime to be related to that officer. You call him and say, hey, we are having this issue in our area. How do we handle it? Because you are afraid of reporting to the police post. But what I know is if you go to that police post and report the name of the officer, please have the name of the officer. Don't just go there and say, we have got this tall officer. How many tall officers do we have? And as I've said, there is no senior officer who wants negative publicity in an area where he or she is overseeing security. They only want good things. So if there's an officer who is engaging in crime in that community, he is stating the name of this officer who is overseeing security in that location, in that county, in that sub-county. So report to the OCS, OCPD, or use social media. But the social media has that magic. Social media, Twitter. If you don't have Twitter, maybe you have a Twitter handle for this CBO. Facebook page. And then tag the DCI on those social media handles. Tag the Inspector General of Police. Tag the DCI. Tag the National Police Service. Tag the National Police Service Commission. Tag IPOA. Tag the Office of Director of Public Prosecutions. They will take action. I promise you. Thank you.
Okay. Benjamin, can you see any other question from the audience?
No, I don't have any other questions on my end.
Okay. David, any question, comment?
Yeah, thank you very much, Daktari. I think this is one of the very most informative talks we've had. And I'm happy you've commented about my chief. Actually, the treating chief came from my area. And that area has a history of what we have talked about. Initially, we used to have crime and idleness and bars and alcohol places. But even before the word community policing came into being or became mainstream, our parents decided to know everybody who lives there. That is Lanetu Moja area in Nakuru. And the second thing they did was to control the mushrooming of alcohol, and crime went down, and also to ensure that everybody knows where their youth. So that is what you've talked about, responsible parenting. Everybody knows where their young people are, especially the youth. Then the third thing was the partnership with the chief and the police post at Lanet. And I saw that bring crime and all that. The other thing I would say, within Kajiado, we have Lemelepo community policing that is around Rimpa, and it has done very well. And I can relate with the issue of providing a vehicle for police. That's where I've seen them provide a vehicle for Kandisi police post, and it has worked very well for that area because police have partnered very well with the community, and they're able to reach any point where crime happens. So very good ideas there, which I can relate with. But I have one question. I think two questions. One, how do you deal with a neighbor who is antisocial? Somebody who doesn't open their gate, they don't want to greet you, they don't want to commune with you. You invite them for a social event, they don't want. And, how do you deal with such people? And there could be more than one in a neighborhood. Then the second question is, it is true, private guards can even be a source of insecurity. One time I hired a guard, and before, I had a guard, my own guard. Then he committed some misdemeanor. Then I released him. Then I decided, let me go to private guarding. That private guard met the guard I had released along the way, and he gave him the job to man my store somewhere. And I was wondering, when I found him in my store, he didn't know I had a store. I was asking him, how are you hired? And he said, no, I was just told kuna kazi. When I asked the private entity whether they know the person, they said, hey, we don't know him. They told me they know him. I asked them, did you even train them? And I totally lost confidence on these guarding services, because sometimes they just pick anybody who is looking for a job, and they don't train them even on the basic policing and that kind of thing. We've also seen, even as a neighborhood, you hire you contract a private entity, then the kind of guard they bring there does not even care, does not even check which vehicle has come in, which one has gone out. Their job is to open and close the gate. So again, that is an area of insecurity. And even worse is when they hire some guards who are actually criminals. So they spy on you, they know what time you come in, and that is the time you find that you are being attacked. So how do we deal with those two issues? An antisocial neighbor and private guarding services.
Okay, thank you very much, David. How do you deal with an antisocial neighbor? I don't have a magic answer to that, but I don't think they can stay there for the rest of their lives. There is a saying that no man is an island. You cannot hide yourself in your walls for the rest of your life. At one time, you will need help. And that's the time when now neighbors have to move in. Now, when, for example, this fellow who locks himself inside, say is bereaved, and then you as a committee, you say, yes, he never locks himself inside there. Let's see who will help him. You know, you are driving him even further away. When this gentleman who locks himself or herself in their walls is bereaved, please go there and help them. That's how now you start bringing them close to us, because generally, most of us adults don't trust strangers. It's only children I have seen talk to strangers, and they're at home. But we adults, we don't trust strangers. So when they need help, please help them. Then you bring them together. The other issue on this antisocial neighbor, maybe there is something they are hiding, and it will eventually come out. They could be hiding something. One day there was a neighbor who had a brewery in his compound. A very decent gentleman, but he had a Changa brewery in his compound. So he never wanted anyone to park outside his gate. And that's how it was discovered, because now we started seeing our guard getting drunk at 9 in the morning. And that's how we realized. Then we got hold of him and told him, we are going to call your company. Where do you get this alcohol? He said, I get it in so and so's compound. That's when we realized there is a brewery there. You can tell. Just take time, even if it's a week or a month. Study the behavior of this gentleman or lady who is antisocial. There is something you will see. And if you have a security conscious mind, you will see something with that person, and then you can tell if he's a good person or he simply doesn't want to socialize with people. Stop, say hi to them. They will say hi. Nobody will refuse unless they have their own issues. Because some people, like, we don't take mental illness seriously in this country. They could be having a mental illness. And as I said, if you have a car and you fall sick, how do you drive yourself to hospital? That's why I say no man is an island. So there's a way you can deal with them depending on the kind of person you are dealing with. And the issue of private guards, we have got the Private Security Regulatory Authority has developed a curriculum, and one of the key issues it looks at is the training of these guards. Now, unfortunately, most of these private security companies, especially the ones that you and I can afford, they don't train those young men and the women. They are simply picked in the morning, then they are told how to march, they are given a whistle and the uniform. Then they are told to go and report at Evelyn's gate or shop to guard. But they don't even know what they are doing there. So when you go there, you find a lady or a gentleman standing there in uniform, but they have not been trained. And that's how now you start seeing them engaging in very delinquent behavior, because there is no discipline, there is no ethos. Even these established companies, some of them have employed terrible characters, because how do we do background check? Also, the nannies we have employed in our homes, they could be the cause of insecurity in the area. Do we do a background check on those nannies, or we just employ them? Because as we talk about these private guards, because if, for example, let me use Evelyn because she's the one I have been talking to. If, for example, Evelyn has a private guard, no, the estate has a private guard. Now, Evelyn has employed a nanny. She has no idea where this nanny comes from. She was just told that this nanny comes from Kitui. Kitui is big. Kakamega is big. Muranga is big. Do you have the details of this lady or gentleman? Do you know their home before you hire someone? Or you simply go into a bureau along the highway, then you are given someone to start working with you? As we talk about our role as in keeping communities safe, ask yourself also, as a member of that community, the individuals you bring in your compound to work for you, Hanani, because they're the ones who collude with the security guard. Even us, we are also careless with information. You are going to the bank and then you are saying, yeah, I'm going to withdraw 1 million shillings to build my rental house in Ngoroi. And your nanny is hearing, the security guard is hearing. They'll go and tell their friends that, hey, so-and-so is withdrawing 1 million shillings from the bank tomorrow to go and pay the workers who are constructing a house. Then before you even get to the construction site, a motorbike will be on you. They'll be asking you for money. So as we talk about community policing, remember you also have a role to play. Don't blame your neighbor when you are reckless with the information. Who have you hired as your nanny? The person who does landscaping in your compound, do you know them? Or you are just told, call this number in the estate, call this number. When your DSTV or Zuku has a problem, you call a number, there's a poster in the streets. So you call that number. You don't know who this gentleman or lady is, and you allow them into your house, into your compound to install for you Zuku or DSTV. Do you know who they are? Or you simply call the number in the streets? So it is a delicate thing for all of us, but we need to be careful in as far as these private guards that we hire. And as I said, having a private guard doesn't make you safer. You may have brought a criminal who will end up stealing from you or making you lose a lot of resources because you did not do proper background check on this individual. So please, let's be careful on this. As the government, through the Ministry of Interior, tries to regulate the private security, it's very unfortunate that there are some companies that only operate, say, in Ngoroi. So beyond Goro, you don't know, they are not known. Now we need to be careful with such companies, because when the gentleman or lady misbehaves in your estate, they simply vanish in thin air. But if it is a company like G4S, this is established, sorry for mentioning the name, I'm not campaigning for them, just sorry for that. But if there are these reputable firms, you can easily do a follow-up, and you can even sue them that you gave me a guard who ended up stealing from me, so you are liable. So we need to be careful on these private guards that we are hiring. Now, there are some of us who hire the individuals because they come from communities that are known to be fierce. That is very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. The man will come there with a club and a sword, but who knows what he will do to you. Some of them end up defiling children in that neighborhood, and then they take off. Where do we get them? So let's be careful as we talk about community policing, as we want to keep our community safe. Let's be careful to see which actors we bring on board, so that we don't end up creating a more insecure communities in the name of hiring private security guards. Because in the villages where some of us were brought up and raised, there are no private security companies. People walk at night. Nobody attacks them. How? Because they know each other. And if you try, they'll still get you. So let's get to know who we are hiring. Let's get to know who stays next to us. Some of us think if, for example, I stop Evelyn to say hi, that I have an ulterior motive. No, I'm just a good neighbor. So private security guards, be careful. How to deal with an antisocial neighbor? Be yourself. Just be nice to them. When they need help, assist them. Don't say, hey, next time when we called you out to help us, you refused. Or you have refused to install security lights at your gate. So let you deal with that issue alone. No. There is no way your neighbor will be insecure or unsafe. And then you say, no, me, I'm okay. And then also something else to answer the issue that the chair asked David. Instead of these private guards, I would rather invest in security dogs. Because if a dog barks, believe you me, it has seen something. And don't just stay in the house. If a dog barks, it has seen something. Get to know. Then also install these cameras, because they are very cheap nowadays. These CCTV cameras, install them. They really help us. Because believe you me, you and I know very well, when you see a CCTV camera, even if it's not working, you'll be very careful on what you do within the range of that CCTV camera. Now, the sad thing is you don't know if it is working or not. Now, if you see a German Shepherd dog, you'll be very careful before you jump into that compound to steal. So me, I trust my dog better than the private security guard, because the dog would not lie to you. A private security guard may lie to you. Thank you.
Okay, I have maybe the two last questions. One is about whom do you okay, you had partly mentioned if OCR ahead of police station is not being competent, how can you go about? You feel like the person is not working to his best. Whom can you report to? And now the other question is on social media. Every morning we wake up, you're getting a lot of what are they called? Videos showing people who are attacked by thugs, and it's becoming sickening. Is it for our own good, or is it making us become more violent? Is it good when we continue forwarding those messages? Because in every morning, in almost every group, you're finding like five videos on insecurity that is going on in the country. Yeah, those are my two questions.
Okay, thank you. The person in charge of a police post or police station is not competent. Petition to let's say it's a police station. There is a senior officer there. Petition to the OCPD and make it formal. Don't go there by word of mouth. Write a petition, a memorandum to the OCPD and officer commanding police division inform him or her that we don't have faith in this gentleman or lady who is in charge of this police post, who is in charge of this police station. Make it formal. They will take action. We say we are seeing a higher rate of crimes. The young men who are doing these things are colluding with the officers in that police force. Make it formal. Action will be taken. Also, make it formal and report to the Inspector General of Police. Write to the Inspector General of Police. And believe you me, because I interact with these police officers a lot, the Inspector General of Police doesn't like negative publicity of any way from whichever part of the country. We are very keen about the images or the reports that Kenyans are sharing about the National Police Service. If they don't take action, the last one will be picketing, whereby you are engaging in, you can organize, which is the last resort, organizing demos and saying, we have complained, we wrote this memo to the OCPD, we wrote this memo to the regional commandant, we wrote this memo to the county commissioner who is in charge of security in the county of Kajiado. Nothing has been taken. Now, when you start holding those picketing and demonstrations, not riots, just demonstrating peacefully, action will be taken. But before you get to demos, the moment you put something formal, believe you me, there is no police officer who wants a record of him or her going to the Inspector General and the National Police Service Commission. They will take action. Now, the issue of social media reports, we need to be careful as a country and as a forum. If it is this CBO that we have, let's be careful on the kind of things that we share on social media accounts, because you want to cause fear and panic in the community. So that if the business community there was vibrant, you find that shops are closing at 7 p.m. because of those kind of videos and images we are sharing on social media. We instill fear in the community. That's not how we should be. If you have seen those videos, if a video has been shot in Mombasa, and then someone is sharing it in Nairobi, in Kajiado County, surely, what is wrong with that individual? And then people start panicking. And yet, where you stay in Ngoroi, it could be safe. And then if you have a Ngoroi WhatsApp group, and then me, who is in Mombasa, I send that video to you. And then you share with your friends in Ngoroi WhatsApp group. You are causing panic within the Ngoroi residents. The community will be safe. But then they start fearing. If the day they see me coming to visit you and I am not driving, people will start following you and wondering, is this the guy we saw in the video? They look similar. So let's be very careful about what we share on social media. And also, the point is we need also to be alert, because some of those things could be true. So we need to be alert in our residence. We need to be alert in our community. When you are driving, when you are walking, stay alert and see who is around you. You are talking on phone and you are crossing the street. What are you doing to yourself, honestly? You are displaying expensive things in your vehicle. What are you doing to yourself? You leave a laptop on your front car seat. You are attracting attention. So some of those videos, they could be true. Some of them, the incident is isolated, but then we want to share it in residents of Ngoroi. And residents of Ngoroi have secured their community. What happens? They start saying, hey, have you heard? Did you see the video that was in our group? People are now breaking into cars. You even start blaming them. Security officers you have hired there. You start saying police officers in Ngoroi are not working. My brothers and sisters, police officers in that community may be working, but someone has shared a video that is causing panic in that community. Nothing like that has happened. And then also, let's also be very careful. If, for example, a senior officer is incompetent, we cannot vilify the whole police station and say Ngoroi police station is incompetent. No, it's just one individual. Let's isolate that officer and deal with him or her as an individual. Because if one fellow is rotten, it doesn't mean that the whole station is rotten. We deal with that officer as an individual. And true, you have seen cases in the media of police officers who engage in crime being taken to court and convicted. So I don't see why we should be afraid of tackling or dealing with this senior officer or with this junior officer who is incompetent or is engaging in crime. And the other issue that I have said, the issue of supporting police officers. Some of us are counselors. If you see an officer who is drunk and is on duty, talk to them. Because if you are a counselor, counsel this gentleman or lady. He could be having his own ghost that is fighting, and you could be the savior. You cannot start saying, oh, all police officers in these police posts are drunk because you saw one officer who is drunk. The officer who is drunk would be battling his or her own demons, and they need help. You could be the help that is going to help that gentleman. So social media, we need to be very careful. But even on our social media, if you are the admin of that WhatsApp group, have rules and say, this is what we can share here. The rest we can't share in this group. Because there are some things we watch in our videos. We are in some groups. People send their very funny videos, and then we take them seriously. When actually the thing even happened in Uganda, then they say it happened in Nairobi or Mombasa. When the thing happened in Dar es Salaam, and since we are all black men and women, we say, Kajiado is very unsafe. Kajiado may not be unsafe. It's just the individual who has brought a video that was shot in Kampala and is sharing it in Nairobi. So we need to be careful on what we share on social media. And also, value for money. Police officers are public servants. They have no reason to be incompetent. And none of them wants to be demoted because he or she is not doing their work. Get a very nice lawyer to draft a memorandum to the OCPD, to the regional commandant, to the commissioner, county commissioner, to the National Police Service Inspector General, the Japhet Koome. He will take action. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I want to hand over to David Dome to close the meeting and also give a vote of thanks. Asante sana, Daktari.
Oh, this is absolutely enlightening, Daktari. I don't think of late I've listened to such an insightful talk. It is true, we'll definitely invite you again here. So thank you very much, Dr. Kavoi. I think the audience has been enlightened and they know what to do. I personally have taken home a few things. I have been resisting dogs for the longest, but through this talk, I think I'll acquire some dogs. And I can see clearly where we go wrong by trusting not only even the guards, but even the nannies whom we don't know very well. So it's I think we live by just by the grace of God. So from all of us, from the Kajiado we want to thank you very much and to ask you to feel welcome. I think we will come back to you on many other questions. Security matters are not things you can talk publicly. There's some specifics which I have seen from audience. So we will want your help probably on those ones so that we can see how we can help our community. Asante sana and God bless you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the honor you have bestowed me to be part of your forum. And I pray that we all know that we have a role to play, not just yourself, but your neighbor. As they say, we are each other's keeper. I am because we are. We are because I am. You can't be safe if your neighbor is not safe. But all of us can be safe if all of us are safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to you, Evelyn. You can now close the forum. Asante sana kila mtu.
Giving us an opportunity to ask too many questions, and also you honored to come and talk about community policing. I think for me, what I thought about it was something so different, but now I think you've enlightened me. We need to make friends with the chief, with the police. We need to look after them, and we stop pointing fingers. Kaziao, it's high time we start working as partners. We want to close the meeting with a word of prayer. Thank you, God, for this day. Thank you again for the speaker who has enlightened us about community policy. I believe whatever we've learned today, you're going to take it and put it into practice. We also pray for the listeners who've taken their time. We pray that in Jesus' name. Amen. Asante sana. And we look forward to hosting you again. Thank you. The meeting is over.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Logged off.